Hi team, Coach Alexa, coach for Reading, South Oxfordshire and online. I had a very interesting experience over this weekend which I thought I'd share in the context of my video series on sleep, and it was regarding the impact of caffeine. So we've been experimenting with alcohol-free drinks recently, lots of good alcohol-free beers out there, less so wines if I'm honest. So we found a company that was kind of blending wines with a little bit of sort of fruit juices and some fermented things and stuff to kind of not make something that tastes like wine, but something that you can drink with a meal like you would wine. And so we tried sharing a bottle of this with a nice Sunday dinner on Sunday, and it was only later on that evening when I was starting to feel a bit wired that I went back to look at the now empty bottle, and there was very small print on the back that it's very high caffeine because it was based on a blend of both black and green teas. Now, I don't drink much caffeine, as you may remember from my video on caffeine for performance a few months ago. So for me, that was a lot of caffeine and at a later point in the day. And as a result, I went to bed at my usual time and found myself staring at the ceiling when my brain just kind of went for a good couple of hours, which wasn't great. But it got me thinking because one of the areas that has an impact on quite a lot of people's sleep is their caffeine intake. So a lot of drugs, including caffeine, because caffeine is a drug, can be classified in terms of their half-life. So this is how long does the body take to break down half of that drug that you've taken. So nicotine, for example, but the body breaks it down really quite quickly. Caffeine, however, has a half-life of 12 hours. So it takes 12 hours for your body to break down half of what you've drunk. And then it kind of drops off half again. So what this means is if you have a double espresso or a latte or something that's got 2 shots of espresso in it at lunchtime, you're going to still have 1 shot of espresso's worth of caffeine circulating around your body at midnight. So yeah, midday double espresso will mean that 1 espresso is still in your system at midnight. So you can then start to think how much of an impact having caffeine any time of day, but particularly in the afternoon, can start to have on your sleep, because only for your 3 p.m. coffee, only half of that is going to be out of your system by the time you get to 3 o'clock in the morning. So you can imagine the potential impact that has on your sleep. So as a general rule of thumb, cutting caffeine will help your sleep. And particularly cutting out caffeine that's happening after lunchtime. So any small, if you don't struggle with sleep, great. But if you do, and you know that your caffeine intake is perhaps a little higher than average, or you're drinking caffeine after lunch, or maybe even later into the afternoon or evenings, and you're struggling to get to sleep, then that's definitely something about to think about maybe changing, or at least experimenting with changing and see if it makes a bit of a difference. Bearing in mind that if you have a sort of generally in your body is used to a relatively high level of caffeine intake, reduce it slowly, otherwise you will go through a bit of a period of feeling a bit rubbish and having some terrible headaches, because you do get a form of withdrawal symptoms with caffeine. So drop things back if you feel you need to, quite gently, and start from the back end of the day. If you're doing it to improve your sleep quality, start dropping off the caffeinated drinks later on in the day and just kind of bring that end point forward gradually would be my top tip. But yeah, caffeine is a stimulant, and therefore it does impact our sleep. So if you want to positively improve your sleep, or think that you're struggling with sleep a little bit at the moment, caffeine intake and timing is definitely one to look at. Happy running.